Hey, what's up everyone? This is Josh, candidate for Scioto County Commissioner. Things are heating up. We have rounded the corner from River Days and the election is just around the corner. Now, as we approach the final stretch of this election season, I want to point out something that I think is very, very important. But first, look, what you see in my hand here are voter registration forms. More specifically, 200 voter registration forms. These forms are getting ready to go to a few supporters of my campaign who have committed to registering, quite possibly, 200 individuals for the election this fall. Now, if you've been following along, you know that my campaign is centered on the needs of the marginalized. For better or for worse, my strategy has been focused on activating non-voters and those who don't normally turn out to vote on election day. This is where it's at. Now, my opponent likes to paint himself as being on the side of the majority, and why not? After all, he's won his last 2 bids for office, so kudos to him for that. But the numbers tell an interesting story. Scioto County's total population is approximately 74,000 people. Now, around 16,000 of those are underage youth who are not legally able to vote, but that leaves roughly 58,000 eligible voters. And of that number, only 46,000 are currently registered to vote. And yet, on average, only 28,000 of those people turn out to vote. In his last 2 contests, my opponent received an average of approximately 12,000 votes. That's what he won with. Now, do you know what 12,000 votes out of 58,000 eligible voters is? It's not the majority. And yet my opponent likes to present himself as being on the side of the majority, saying things like, most Scioto Countyans want ... And I hear from citizens all the time, and here's what they're saying, ... But the majority that he's talking about is not the true Scioto County majority. It's simply the majority of his supporters. That is what we call an echo chamber, my friend. How do I know this? Because I listen to those other people on the regular, the 46,000. And they're not saying the same thing that my opponent is often saying. Many of them don't even know his name. This has been the status quo in Scioto County for many, many years. It's so well known and commonly accepted at this point that many of our residents even have a name for it. They call it the Good Old Boys Club. This club has most of the money. They get the lion's share of the economic opportunities. They have the big yard signs, the tractor trailers, and they make the biggest splash in our local parades. They run the show around here. And there are stakeholders in our community who know this so well that they even won't come out in public support for anyone else because they fear the repercussions that may come to them if they do. I know this for a fact. It's not hearsay. I've had people look me straight in the eye and say, Josh, love what you're doing. I love what you stand for. I love the message, but I can't show my support in public because ... I'm here to change that. My campaign outreach has focused primarily on the needs and concerns of our marginalized population, our non-voters, the ones who feel left out, left behind, uncared for, unheard, unseen. Working class folks who have better things to do with their time, like putting food on the table for their kids, than to play politics with our local establishment. And if that's you, I'm here to tell you, I see you, I hear you, I care about what concerns you, and I will not leave you out of the conversation concerning our social and economic development. But I'm also here to ask you a question, one that represents this whole social experiment on which my entire campaign has been based, and that question is this: will the real Scioto County majority please stand up? Because until you take your concerns, your frustrations, your anger, your empathy, your love, and you turn that all into political action, nothing will ever change. As long as the majority stays home, the minority will continue to hold power. Look, I'm not asking for your money. I've run this campaign on a shoestring budget. I'm not asking for you to put your neck on the line and devote time and energy that you just don't have to give. I'm just asking you for one thing. Stand up for yourself, cast your ballot, and make your voice heard. If 58,000 people turn out to vote and the majority casts in favor of my opponent, I will gladly accept my loss. I'm not in this thing primarily to win it. It's one of the main differences between me and him, but to faithfully represent and advocate for those who feel they've been left out of the Scioto County comeback. If I'm wrong and all those people in our minority communities and at-risk neighborhoods go with the other guy, you'll hear nothing but acceptance and congratulations from me. But I don't think I'm wrong. And I believe the only real challenge that this election represents is the need to overcome the social apathy that has propped up the status quo here in Scioto County for far too long. So I ask, are you with me? If so, then here's what you can do. Check your voter registration now, today. You have to be registered at your current home address to be eligible to vote. If you're over 18, if you're a resident of Ohio and Scioto County, you have the right to vote. If you're a felon but not currently incarcerated in the state of Ohio, you have the right to vote still. If your registration is complete and up to date, then vote. Early voting begins at the courthouse on October 12th. That's next Wednesday. Election day is November 8th. Why wait? Go to the courthouse at 602 7th Street in Portsmouth early and get it over with. If you're not registered, then please do it. Do it today. Do it right now. If you absolutely can't do it right now, you have until the 11th. If you don't register by October the 11th, you won't be eligible to vote in the election this fall. If you don't know how to register, you can message me. I'll walk you right through it. I'll hold your hand. If you need help getting to the polls, I'm also your man. We're organizing workers to help overcome the voting barriers that many of our residents often face. If you want to vote but you lack the transportation, I'll make sure you get there. It's that easy to help create change, and that's all I'm asking for you today, from you. Vote. Show up, make your voice heard. Don't remain silent any longer. From the east end of Portsmouth to every township and holler across this county, I'm sounding out a call to everyone I know. Will the real Scioto County majority please stand up? I'm Josh Lawson. I'm a candidate for Scioto County Commissioner in the general election this fall. Prove me right or prove me wrong, but just please, I'm begging you, get involved. Prove me something.